Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities and Miniatures. It's time once again for our weekly painting progress. That just so happens to have landed on Veterans Day, so thank you for your service to all those veterans that are currently still in or have previously served in the armed forces, and happy Armistice Day to all of you out there who celebrate it as Armistice Day, because we were just talking about that at school and the kids were shocked. Anyway, I guess in honor of Veterans Day, we actually got some things painted up by my brother here, who always does a bang-up job at whatever he does, but it's just like pulling teeth to get him to actually sit down and do it. So this first figure we have up is one of the new HDF Infantry, which I believe was the Human Defense League Forces. Human Defense Forces makes more sense with an F in it, from One Page Rules. This is their latest army, because it's not like they don't have a million other things, but just a nice, basic, standard grunt. And I do like the visor work there on the helmet. I know that's something that Sparkletrout really digs, is just the typical grunts, whereas I like all the flashy excess of the hero-type models. In addition to that, we've got a Skullforge figure, and I cannot remember which specific model this is supposed to be. For those of you who are a bit more into the Star Wars type stuff, it should probably look familiar, because a lot of, not everything, but a lot of the stuff that Skullforge has put out has definitely had some very obvious nods to a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. I'll leave it at that. But have the fun of not recognizing what is exactly. I've got those links down below, and I will let you go scrolling on through there and figure it out yourself, because there's a lot of cool stuff there too. Of course, there's a lot of cool stuff at all these links, and I've got the analytics to show that a lot of you do actually click on them, so that's good to see. Finally, one that I'm happy to see, and I haven't even gotten around to painting mine yet, we've got Ashura from Ashura's Wrath, courtesy of good old Erkman's Minis. If there is any random Capcom figure that he hasn't put out yet, by all means, please go pester him so that we get it. I think you want to get really obscure. I'm thinking Arthur from not Ghouls and Ghosts, Cannon Spike. It was Arthur from Ghouls and Ghosts, except done up in a high-tech mech suit for Cannon Spike. Cannon Spike was a weird game anyways. Now, this is a cool figure because there's actually a variant on it where he's got all of his extra arms, but unfortunately we don't have the big fancy aura halo thing, but that's probably asking too much, and he's probably going to get really lopsided. Now, if we get any of the bosses, oh my goodness, that would be crazy, but nice job on that. And then, what do I have? I painted a host of eclectic things, but that should come as no surprise. The first up are these Hazmat Gnomes. And I was going to fix the glove on that hand holding the hose, and I obviously didn't. These were from the Dragon Trappers Lodge, who have consistently put out the craziest, most quirky, bizarre figures, as well as some of the coolest, when it comes to tabletop figures. If you want weird stuff, you definitely are going to find it with them, and they will have rules to boot. So they had a whole pile of these Hazmat Gnomes. And they're just fun, goofy little figures, and they are little. It looks like a banana. And there were all sorts of... I want to say it was originally like the Gnomes versus Mimics or something when these guys were first released, if I remember correctly, which is entirely doubtful, but there were a bunch of them, a lot of variations, so you can really have fun with those. So I got that painted up. This guy has been sitting on my table for a while, and I know it's a Fireforge figure, and I feel like it was a Persian Archer or something like that. Something Middle Eastern, and it is plastic, and I did an awful job with gluing his sword there, because I don't think it was originally there, and I think it slid off, and it like melted down all of the details there. This was like a figure that I just kind of painted with random colors every time I was painting something else. And he kind of was just a test bed to see what one of these guys looked like finished. I know that the Persians tended to have a lot of very colorful outfits, so I figured kind of works. I mean, worst case, he's just going to end up in a fantasy game anyway, so no harm, no foul, right? Do need to get myself still some of the Fireforged Samurai. I have yet to do that. One of these days. It's on my shopping list. If I'm not distracted buying other stuff. Alright. Last month, Raging Heroes put out some really fun undead models. And they had these Reaper guys. They had a whole unit of them. What happened here? The weird lantern spike growth thingy coming out of his back gave me absolute Bane Thralls. Were they the Bane Thralls? The dudes from Cryx. The floaty guys with like all the iron grates poking in their backs. I loved the Bane Thralls. I want to say it was the Bane Warriors. No, was it Bane Warriors and Bane Knights? Thralls or something totally different. That's just like the Mechanic Thralls that look like they belong in a AdMech, dark AdMech Chaos Army or something. I'm rambling, but that's okay, because I can, because it's my channel, so haha. Anyway, the Bane Warriors, I think, were the kind of, like, nice backbone cornerstone of most of my Cryx warbands. And anyway, this guy gave serious Bane Warrior, even Bane Knight vibes. Bane Knights I didn't like as much, because those were, like, pure metal, and I always seemed to break them, and they had those stupid, great, pointy iron fence things on their backs that always wanted to break. Got the first of my barbarian horny guys, Bonedudes, from Titan Forge finished up. Try as I might to get some detail on his eyes there, it just did not want to work out. What's funny is that the cloths on his legs and arms kind of matches and blends in now with the armor pieces, which was not the case before I sealed it. It's really hard to see his face, too. That axe, I could not get a good pose with that axe. I wanted it out more to the side, and it just, there was no hand that really had that. But these guys are kind of the counterparts to the more heavily armed warriors that I'm totally going to break that one of these days. Titan Forge has put out. Now, one of these days I got to talk about their new Wolf Army, the Wolf Order, and their orcs have been crazy cool. I've really enjoyed their orcs. Kind of need to get on top of that. Alright, what else we got for you this week? Well, I finally finished the first of my new War Machine figures, and I am slowly but surely going to build everything up, and I am absolutely going to want to try out Mark IV. So this is Disruptor Eviscerus. I was going to say Eviscerus, but Eviscerus sounds more appropriate for a Cryx Necrotech Warcaster. This guy was a pain. He was a royal pain. And it's not that it was a pain to put together because he's a single piece. It was a pain trying to get a brush into these crevices. You can see there's so much stuff in the way with all his limbs and cloak and wires and hands, and it just was kind of obnoxious. And I saw that they had the new Soul or Scrap Harvester or whatever, the big giant thing on like an 80mm base that absolutely looks like an AdMech Magus or something. Looks really neat and can like pull up Thrall bits from the ground, and it's like a corpse grinder type thing. Anyway, I was really apprehensive it was going to be like one big block of resin, but thankfully it's going to be a lot of smaller pieces. So hopefully it won't be as much of a chore trying to get this guy painted, because I mean seriously, trying to get the brush in there was a royal pain. And to make matters worse, all of the washes that I like to use are finished, so I couldn't give it any kind of a proper wash, and that made me sad. I didn't try to paint his eyes though, not that you can tell. Not that they look good either. But at least he's finished. Honestly, and like trying to find some other shots outside of like the like product photos has been really challenging. I don't know if there's just nobody else has painted theirs or I haven't seen them. I mean, I was checking Reddit and stuff, and if you guys have painted samples, please point me in the right direction. I mean, I'll go post mine if I need to, just so like people can see them. And speaking of painted models, I've got the Emperor painted himself now. Yes, Emperor Carver is ready to go. Of course, he's not a full-fledged caster anymore. And I still got to do the war boar, but at least he's done. I'm like actually somewhat satisfied with my flames. Playing around with contrast and some of the fluorescent paints I had, it actually kind of gave it a nice base. There's just a lot going on with this figure. Like, really. There were a few sections where I was a little bummed out. Maybe my poor painting has hidden them from view. Some of the claws up close, you could kind of see there it is. Like one of them I knew it was. A bit of it, you could see the obvious striations there from the print. But then again, it's not like, you know, it's one of the downfalls or downsides, I guess, of the medium. But it's not like, you know, we didn't deal with crappy mold lines or weird chunks of stuff with, you know, cast resin either. So I can't really complain. I do like the fact that he's got a dead scorn there. It has to be a scorn. There is no nose. And there is no visible spot for a nose to have existed. Because it's definitely not like one of the elves. I'm pretty sure that skull right here is supposed to be an elf. I could be wrong. Somebody wants to correct me, by all means, go right ahead. But I'm happy he's finished. I've always liked Carver. In fact, I think one of the new Warcasters from Cryx looks like a Pharaoh undead, which is kind of interesting. So he's in the new, what is it, Nakathus or Nakathus? Nakathus? I don't remember what his name is. Anyway, he's in one of the new Cryx boxes. And I already have some of them, which I need to get around to, but I've been kind of holding off because I wanted to finish up the Warjacks for Eviscerus here. I just actually finally got around to ordering the magnets so I can go ahead and get started on those guys, but I was kind of holding off on painting that until I had those. Which doesn't really make sense when you think about it, but that's where I am, at least with things. I'm like, nothing's stopping me now that I think about that from painting them regardless of whether I have the magnets or not. Okay, well, logic isn't my strong suit of the day, obviously. All in all, not a bad little haul. Hopefully all you guys out there are getting your stuff painted as well. I am hopefully going to get some games in. I know there's some local places that have Mark IV games, so I am definitely looking to give it a try and hopefully not get trounced too badly because I was in the netherworld, usually, due to playing Math Machine at times because I just could not do the math that many steps ahead of myself when it came to like late Mark II, early Mark III games of War Machine. So I'm looking forward to giving 4 a try, especially at smaller point scales. I think there's more decision making, and with all of the various boxes I've got now, I've got a nice little toolbox of both casters and units to fool around with. So hopefully, maybe someday I will try my hand at doing some battle reports. That'd be kind of cool. It's not like I don't have a bajillion other game systems I can try and film anyways. So, as always, like I mentioned earlier, we've got those links. Please check them out because I'm sure the artists would appreciate it and enjoy the support. And if you hit up the Patreon, we've got links there for the Discord as well. And I need some of you to help keep me entertained because it's been so busy and hectic. I just haven't had time to post anything. So hopefully I will change that in the future. Anyway, with that said then, this has been High Lord Tamerlane with Obscurities and Miniatures saying thanks for watching, and we'll see you back here soon. Bye-bye.